This is Real Wealth Network's 2019 market overview for St. Louis, Missouri. Home to over 2.8 million people, the St. Louis metro area is the 21st largest metro in the country. It's also one of the most stable and affordable real estate markets today, where investors can purchase single-family homes for as little as $120,000 and rent them for just under 1% of the purchase price. In this video, you'll learn about the top factors that make St. Louis one of the strongest real estate markets today: affordability, cash flow, and population growth. Before we get to that, here's a little background information. Located in the heart of the Midwest, St. Louis is known for being a major U.S. port city, sitting between the two longest rivers in the country, the Missouri and the Mississippi. It is also home to the world's tallest arch, known as the Gateway Arch. The city was founded in 1764 as a French fur trading village by Pierre Leclerc. He chose the name St. Louis in honor of the patron saint of the then French king, Louis XV. Today, St. Louis is often called the Gateway to the West. It earned this nickname when the Lewis and Clark expedition began here in May of 1804. One thing that makes St. Louis stand out from other affordable real estate markets today is Cortex Innovation Community, a vibrant 200-acre innovation hub and technology district integrated into St. Louis's historic Central West End and Forest Park Southeast residential neighborhoods. Cortex has become the Midwest's premier hub for bioscience and technology research, development, and commercialization. Today, it serves as the anchor of St. Louis's growing ecosystem for innovative startup programs as well as established companies. Currently, there are about 325 companies that call the Cortex Innovation Community their home. Cortex is creating a lot of jobs and attracting millions of dollars in investments. In fact, they've created 3,800 tech-related jobs and invested over $500 million in just the last 14 years. When they've completed their full build-out, Cortex will likely generate $2 billion of development and create 13,000 jobs. In addition, over 15,000 new college-educated millennials moved to the St. Louis metro between 2000 and 2014. This makes it the fourth most popular destination city for millennials today. This is higher than both Chicago, which is 11th, and Seattle, which is 19th. St. Louis is popular among real estate investors because of its stable economy, growing technology hub, large metro population, and most especially its affordable housing market. While the average home price in the St. Louis metro area is still below $200,000, there are many pockets of the metro area with even more affordable entry points, with monthly rents averaging $1,100 to $1,200. Another positive factor for investors is that renters make up 32% of the market, which is slated to only increase as young, educated millennials continue to migrate to St. Louis for its affordable housing market. Let's take a closer look. The median price of the average three-bedroom home in St. Louis is $176,000. This is 12% less than the median value nationwide. In the neighborhoods where RWN members invest, the median purchase price is just under $127,000, which is 37% lower than the national average of $200,000. This shows us that St. Louis real estate is more affordable than many cities across the nation, especially in the neighborhoods where RWN members are investing. The median monthly rent of an average three-bedroom home in the U.S. is $1,430, which is just under 0.72% of the median purchase price of $200,000. The median monthly rent of the average three-bedroom home in St. Louis is $1,269, which is exactly 0.72% of the median purchase price of $176,000. In the neighborhoods where RWN members invest, the median monthly rent is $1,185. This is 0.93% of the median purchase price of $126,860. This shows us that there's an opportunity to generate passive monthly cash flow in St. Louis at a higher rent-to-purchase ratio than the national average. And here's a fun fact: two-year leases are also relatively common in the St. Louis area. Between January 2012 and January 2018, the average three-bedroom single-family home in St. Louis appreciated in value by 27%. During the same period, the median home price for three-bedroom single-family homes rose by 41% nationwide. During the same 6-year period, the median monthly rent for three-bedroom homes in St. Louis increased by 9%. Nationally, the median rent for three-bedroom homes increased by 17% during this time. Although St. Louis home values and rents have risen more slowly than the rest of the country, it's important to note that they have both been rising at a steady rate for the last 6 years. This is significant because it confirms that the St. Louis market is stable and that investing here offers a long-term appreciation and income potential. Between 2010 and 2017, the St. Louis MSA population grew by 0.63%. Although this growth is significantly slower than the national average of 5.29%, the population is still growing. It's also important to note that this metro area is becoming more and more popular, especially among recent college grads who are more likely to rent over purchasing their own home. In fact, St. Louis was named the third best city in the United States for recent college grads because of its affordable rental prices, short commute times, and higher than average median salary for recent graduates. Between June 2017 and 2018, the St. Louis MSA added 9,900 new jobs, an annual growth rate of 0.72%. During the same 12-month period, over 2.4 million jobs were created nationwide, an annual growth of 1.64%. Although St. Louis's job growth was slower than the national average during this period, it's important to note that jobs have been created and people have been moving to the area to claim them. In other words, slow growth is still growth. And for investors looking to buy income property in a stable, steadily growing market with promising signs of future growth, St. Louis is an area to consider. So let's do a quick recap. Number 1. St. Louis is still affordable. In the neighborhoods where RWN members invest, 3-bedroom home values are 37% lower than the national average of $200,000. Number 2. St. Louis is cash flowing. In some neighborhoods, it's possible to rent homes for just under 1% of the purchase price, which is much higher than the national average. Number 3. Steady population growth. Since 2010, St. Louis's population grew by 0.63%. Although this growth is slower than the national average, the population is still growing. Future growth also looks promising. Number 4. Strong equity growth and income potential. Since 2012, the average 3-bedroom single-family home in St. Louis appreciated in value by 27%, and rents have appreciated by 9%. Although this growth is slower than the national average, it's still significant. It's also a good sign of a stable real estate market.